we all rolling?
All right.
You want to clap?
Owning. We are. Oh, did you want to do it? It's
I didn't
perfect.
know. I didn't know. You said whenever
please.
you want to clap.
Yeah.
You clap.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
There you go.
Excellent. What? So, I'm curious about how it went. And I think it'd be interesting to hear the same question answered by the perspective of someone who works at this organization that is trying to transform itself and really hasn't done anything like this before. And then from the same perspective, from a different perspective, the same question, having seen other organizations try to do this exact same thing over and over and over again, how is it different here? Mm-hmm. How did it go? How is it going? Just to say how did it go, that's unfair because that suggests that it's over.
Right. Yeah. I think it's going relatively well. I think, you asked about compared to previous experiences. There's this idea that everybody's the same, and then there's this idea that everybody's a snowflake. And I think both of those things are true to an extent, right? I think that all of the problems are very similar from organization to organization, but I think the solution set is nuanced from place to place. So, going in, trying to do the things that I've seen be successful in the past fell flat.
Yeah,
really quickly.
Because they were successful for that group of people at that time in history.
At that time, in that space,
that
with those circumstances, right? So, and we were just talking about this in the other room, being in person, being able to stop by people's offices and say, hey, let me just, spend a few minutes with you telling you what I think is a problem here versus I'm going to schedule a 30-minute meeting next week on Tuesday and hope that my thoughts are the same then as they are now makes things challenging. So that's only one aspect of it. But I think just generally speaking, you have to understand a lot of the nuance that is happening across the organization in order to start to craft things differently. So I think my first reaction is this is slower than I hoped it would be. It's a slower process than I hoped it would be, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we had to be intentional about the time and space that we had together.
How is it going?
I think it's going well. I think one of the early on, my senior leader, who's over the entire organization. He made it pretty clear that he had no preconceived notions that this was going to be done in 12 months. He's like, I'm not putting a time limit on it. I hope it doesn't take 5 years, but hey, these things take a while. And so I think that was a big benefit for me of where I was constantly frustrated because my background was in being hands-on keyboard, working within the infrastructure world at a much smaller scale, not on the enterprise scale, but working there, trying to get a lot done, being a project manager, juggling a lot of things. I just expected more progress, like kind of what he was saying. And it was my senior leader who's saying, hold on a second, give yourself a break. He's like, we're trying to move mountains here. Like, let's slow down a little bit. I think it's gone well in that we are getting to the point where we're having the really tough conversations.
Like what?
I mean, what are we really doing here, right? And so if you think about, but that's with every, that's the everyman that we're talking to, the individual team members really feeling comfortable enough to come out and start talking about these things and really challenging ideas and challenging the nuance there. We were able to bring on some coaches that have a ton of experience in their own right. And so they're really getting themselves built into the culture and building trust with team members. And I think that, it took us a long time to even understand what it would take for what we would want to hire as a coach, right? Because you can hire a coach that's just, I'm going to implement this framework and just dump it on top of you, and hey, there you go, you're Agile now, and move on.
Yeah,
you can hire
that's a trainer in residence,
right?
Not a coach,
exactly. And so, but the people that we've brought on are coaches. They have the heart of coaches. They want to go out and learn with you with where you're at. But I had no idea what that would even look like, and that took It's kind of like, it took a long time for us to even get to the point of what we knew we would want to hire as a coach. And so, I think it's going well. We've had a lot of struggles, but I think that there is, a lot of honest conversations going on, and a lot of people really looking and saying, "Hey, I get it. I think we can do this better." For a long time, it was, I don't really know what's going on. It's all kind of magic. It's kind of, I don't really understand, or that's kind of the software world, and I don't really think that applies here. And a lot of that was our own fault. A lot of that is how we talked about it, and how we approached it, and I do mean we, like we together, trying to lead us through, and we've been able to unpack that and build enough trust with people around the organization where they're giving us good feedback and saying, "Hold on a second, this doesn't really make sense," and so now we can really start having the real conversation. That's 18 months in.
Yeah.
It took us a long time to even get to the point where we're having the real conversations, but it's good, and I think we're making progress. I mean, we have over a dozen teams, and we have a lot of people leaned in, a lot of people working on it, trying to do better, and trying to get it. But I think people are coming in more and more with an open mind about it.